So you guys have been requesting more, which is great because I love answering your questions. I just need time to get through all of them because I only pop out like one video a week. And this video, of course, is something that came from you guys, which is fear of making mistakes. So why are we talking about the fear of making mistakes? Because fear of making mistakes really holds us back from doing a lot of things that we can be doing in life, like going out and making friends, or going out and taking a class, or an experience that you never thought you would, or speaking up and like saying something that's alongside of your opinions, which might amaze other people. It holds us back from great experiences in life, and that's what we're talking about this, and especially in the social sector. And a lot of this about like the fear of making mistakes actually has a lot to do with wanting people's approval. Because think of it this way: if you were just by yourself and you were just walking around and you accidentally tripped and you fell and I don't know, you scraped your knee or something, you stand back up, the first thing that you do is you look around. Like, did anyone saw that? If it was just by yourself, you might feel bad for a little bit, feeling like, oh man, dude, why did I trip? Now I could have seen that. But then after a while, you're like, oh, at least no one saw that. That little sigh of relief is that peer pressure. So here, this is why this fear of making mistakes has everything to do with the people that are looking at you. So there's that philosophical saying of, if a tree falls down in a forest and it makes a sound, but no one's there to actually hear the sound, then did it actually make a sound? Yeah, it's something along those lines. I know it's not the exact context for this, but I feel like the example is somewhat appropriate. But we're gonna break into this context of fear of making mistakes. And if you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and of course the bell. So I know that sometimes my videos might be kind of long, so there's a timestamp for different individual sections, so if you want to hop to each one and look at each section, yeah, totally fine with it, just click on it. But the outline for today is, first, what exactly is a mistake? Why do we want to look at what is a mistake? Because this fear of making a mistake stems from doing something wrong. But if what you're doing isn't wrong in the first place, then why should you actually feel bad about it? So we have to look at, is it actually something we should feel bad about it? And then the second point is, how do you actually go about handling the fear of mistakes? Because there are times when we are actually doing the right things, or we have done nothing wrong at all, but there is still that fear of thinking that's a mistake. Like, the fear is still there. It just doesn't really make sense why we are feeling that way. And when we feel that way, we need a way to deal with it. Okay? And then the third point we're going about is going deep and practical in terms of having like small steps that you can take that are like actually daily life things that can help you kind of progress through being like handling this fear of mistakes. There are instances where I think where like you have these bunch of people making fun of a person for wearing a weird shirt. It's like, did that person make a mistake by wearing that shirt? No, that person's just minding his own business. Why should that person feel bad for just expressing who he is as a person just by wearing that shirt? No. And the truth is, he should not feel bad about it, and the person should just stand proudly and then mind his own business without having to struggle through this. So first, let's define what exactly is a mistake. The dictionary defines a mistake as an action or judgment that is misguided or wrong. We have to be specifically aware of what terms are being used. Here it says misguided or wrong. So wrong has a moral implication to it, which is, it's not neutral. It means either something is right or wrong, and the mistake is wrong. And that plays a critical part. And the thing with mistakes is it's hard to identify because it varies by cultural customs, ethnicities, your background and upbringing, because like you might wear a certain style of clothing to, let's say, a wedding of a I don't know, different country, and that would be considered offensive. Or you might shake hands with someone in the wrong way, and that might imply your disrespect for that country. So there's certain things that are very specific to like people, groups, backgrounds, families. So we're not going to cover the specifics of what that mistakes is, but I am going to give you general guidelines for what exactly our mistakes are usually right. The first guideline for this sounds kind of weird, but it's relevant. It's you are not a mistake. And this sounds kind of grand, but what this is basically saying is that if you feel like you don't belong in this world, you feel like your existence wasn't acknowledged and you're constantly being pushed to the side, and that you feel like an outsider, then you will do things in a way that makes you feel like every one of your actions are mistakes, and that maybe you shouldn't talk in the first place, that you can't bring good things to the table. And all these things, these beliefs, they're all wrong. Because no human beings are mistakes. Even if it's like a unplanned pregnancy, yeah, so like it's happened by accident, but your existence in this world, it's not a mistake, and then you belong in this world. And think about it this way. If you think your whole world is full of mistakes, then you're literally afraid to do any single thing, because you might have to potentially apologize for every single small thing that you do. So your worldview of how you see your world means a lot. So the second aspect is opinions are actually not mistakes. So let's say if I want pineapple on my pizza, then that's great. Like for me, that's something I like. But if someone else looked at it and just laughed at me, saying like, "Oh, Augustus, you like really like pineapple on your pizza? Like what a weirdo," then I'm just gonna say, "So what? Like that's what I like." As long as it's my opinions and it's not wrong or a mistake, then I don't really have to feel bad about what I just said. Does that kind of make sense? Because for me, I'm just merely expressing who I am. However, there are different cases, because let's say if I'm expressing opinions about someone else, of course that will easily offend the other person. Be like, I think your face is really wide. Like, that might offend some people. And so as long as my opinions are within the boundaries of not really concerning other people, then it doesn't really have a wrong implication to it. I can like chocolate, I can like running, I can hate peanuts. Like, there are different things that are your opinions, and these are not considered mistakes. Now let's get into the aspect of how exactly go about handling the fear of mistakes. This part I actually really like because, well, you'll see like the different examples. Hopefully you can relate to them. The short answer is letting yourself make mistakes and allowing mistakes to be part of your life. Because, like, mistakes, if you look at the trajectory, it is part of the growth process. And if you stop the mistakes right like when it happens, then you're stopping the growth process. When we grow, it goes like this. It goes like you have your current you, it's like, oh, like your current state, and then you make a mistake. And it seems really bad, but it's like, then that's what happens. And then after the mistake, you improve and you learn from your mistake. And then you become a better, more improved you, plus like more experiences. Like that's the cycle. But if you stop at the second point as soon as you make a mistake and then you go back to the original you, then what happens is you're not allowing life to live and go through that whole process. So essentially you're stopping life that you're supposedly living in. Because let's say if I go and just try something new, doesn't work, come back, I'm at the exact same place as where I am before. So mistakes are actually part of that life process. and that you just really need to learn to let it become part of you. But when we're talking about like these good movie stories, the main protagonists always have some sort of flaw or some kind of struggle in the beginning, because without those struggles and flaws, then the hero can't really like go down in the slumps and come back even stronger. Like, who doesn't like a great story with a plot where the hero like fell from heights and lost everything and then came back much better than before and just completely obliterates the enemy? Yeah, like that's a good story, and that's something we want to see. And you can think of it this way, as in, for us, every time when we make a mistake, we might have a chance to come back using that mistake to become a better hero in your life. Yeah, that sounded kind of cheesy, but I feel like there's a need to kind of connect that, because you are the main character in your story. Now that we're done with all the theoreticals, in terms of like explaining why it happens, I want to also give you guys some practicals in terms of things that you might be able to do right now, especially since everything's kind of like restricted. So I want something that you guys can do. And here I have 2 exercises that you can go ahead and try if you want. The first one is called the pin drop. Yeah, so I literally just made that up. But the scenario goes like this. You are just walking around in public, of course, with people, because people are mainly the people that you are trying to hold yourself against that fear of mistakes. So you have to have people around you. So you're walking around and you are just minding your own business, and then you accidentally drop a pen on the ground. And when you drop a pen on the ground, it usually attracts some kind of attention, but not enough to the degree where people will actually give you consistent attention, but just enough so that it makes a little sound and people will notice it. But then this is what we want, because it's a mistake. So when you drop the pen, I want you to wait and count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and then go and pick it up. So here, you're allowing yourself to go through that process of making a small mistake. And at the same time, you can practice handling how someone will look at you when you do make a mistake, and just be completely fine with it. Be like, okay, yeah, made a mistake, so what? Doesn't matter. So that's the first exercise that I want you guys to practice. So the second exercise I call the mug. Here I want you to imagine that you're in a cafe somewhere, assuming the cafes around you are still open, and you have a mug of coffee that are just on your table. And here you raise the coffee mug and you put it down, you're not like slamming it down, but you place it down at least enough that it makes a somewhat medium amount of noise that will attract people accidentally. And what this does is it does the same thing. It's a accident or a mistake that attracts attention to you, but you have the chance to just feel through and allow that mistake to be part of your life. And that mistake would not attract so much attention or to want people to constantly want to talk to you. It's something that's just gonna happen, and usually life is just gonna go on like nothing has happened. But I want you to actively go through that and incorporate that feeling of making a mistake and thinking, yeah, it's just part of life. So if we're talking about mistakes, like literally from when the time that this video was shot, it was maybe like 2 days ago, I was just shopping for groceries, and I thought I saw one of my friend, and I walked up, and it wasn't her, and it wasn't even her kids. It's so bad. And at that moment, you can imagine how awkward it was, because I even try saying hi. And then with the whole mask thing, so I'm gonna give myself a little pass there. But like, mistakes happen all the time, and sometimes it's what makes life fun, and sometimes it's what makes life unexpected, and it's a common part that allows us to grow. So I want our impression of mistakes to improve and to have that positive side from it. So if you find this video helpful, you can like, subscribe, share, comment, and I will talk to you guys next time.